shoot. That's no good. Well, just to catch you guys up that may not have watched the last couple videos, we got a video of us pulling this thing out of the junkyard. We got a video of us actually just initially fixing the wiring issues from 15 years of rats chewing on it and putting a new fuel pump in it and getting it running. But in the last video, we actually got this thing cleaned up after all these years of rats. But magically, after I washed it, I don't know if it's the water or something else, but it's like the ignition switch doesn't work anymore. It quit starting with the ignition switch, and then the lights on the dash quit coming on after that. So we had to push it in here in the shop. So now I've got some stuff to work on it. I'm gonna do spark plugs and all that stuff, change the oil, and we're gonna actually get this thing driving out on the road for the very first time. See if we can break our Milwaukee. This thing's a top fit. Well, I don't see anything wrong with that guy. I was really hoping to find some chewed in half plug wires because this thing was missing really bad under a load. One thing here, this hose going to the boost solenoid, which gets hooked up to the premium fuel switch, is rotten like crazy. So it probably would have boosted to the moon if we'd have drove it, because any kind of leak between your wastegate and your turbo, if the hose between your wastegate and your turbo, if it has a leak in it, your boost is going to go up. And if it has a hole or it's unhooked, it'll just go to the moon. Look how rotten this is. Everything's just totally rotten. I gotta get some vacuum lines for that. This is an easy one to change plugs on once you get that intercooler off. My old Maverick, when I had a 2.3 turbo in it, I had the Stinger header and a Cummins Dodge turbo, and I'd have to take the whole header and turbo off to change the plugs in it. Looks like the front cylinder may have been running a little rich. It's a little bit darker than the rest of them. Of course, that back one's a little dark too. I don't know. I'm gapping these things down to 25 thousandths. The factory says 32 to 37, but anybody who's ever raced turbo cars, if you have too wide of a spark plug gap and you're running, the higher the boost level, the narrower your spark plug gap needs to be, depending on how good your ignition system is, because it'll actually blow the spark out. Like you'll be full boost to the top of the gear, and all of a sudden it'll like it starts shutting down like you shut the key off. So I'm gonna go ahead and gap it down to 25 because I guarantee you we're turning the boost up. We got all the new spark plugs in. I'm actually waiting on plug wires because the parts stores didn't have them in stock. You'd think it'd be pretty basic, but I figure it's the same as other 2.3s, but maybe it's not. So I'm still waiting on that. I'm gonna go ahead and take this thing back off. I'm gonna actually take the whole assembly out and clean it and see what I'm gonna do, because I'd really like to do something different, you know, something that gets cold air down there instead of coming in through here. Am I the only guy that puts all my bolts in the top of the radiator? Maybe I am. That's not even clamped in there. It's just sitting there. That's no good. There you go. So these things have, is this called a VAM from memory? I can't remember. It's like velocity air meter or vane air meter, something like that. It basically has like an air door in there, and as it opens up, it has a sensor in here that picks up how far that door swings, and that somehow magically decides how much fuel it gets. I mean, at the time, this is probably great. It's not really good to have this much of a restriction in front of the turbo. Yeah, I mean, really, if I just have my wishes, I would probably get some sort of aftermarket standalone computer that speed density setup, so you would not have to have anything like this, or even a mass air meter, which is less restrictive. I had this on my Maverick as a blow-through. It was actually, I believe, on that side, and it had boost pressure inside of it. So it's less of a restriction, and it made a huge difference when I moved it from before the turbo to after the turbo, because you don't want any restriction before the turbo or a supercharger. It really kills power. This thing it's an okay shape, but it's starting to fall apart. You can see where the rats chewed all over it. And it's getting kind of powdery where it's getting all over my hands. Look at the little nest. It must have been squirrels and rats, huh? This is what I'm talking about the way it works. And I believe that's the temperature sensor maybe right there. There's I guess it's the fuel pump controller. And there's your solenoid that ups your boost right there when you switch it over to premium fuel. I gotta really inspect these wires because of all these rats and squirrels. Okay. Alright. Okay. I don't know why, but these two hoses are totally shot, and then all these other hoses seem fine. I don't know why these two are made out of something different. Now, even though we've cleaned this thing out, Scooty is determined that there is still a mouse in here somewhere. He knows it's here. So I marked the spark plug wires with which cylinder it goes to, and I'm gonna pull this out of here. We got our plug wires. We ended up getting some at O'Reilly's, had to get them ordered in. So we're gonna change them at the same time we do this cap and rotor. It's funny, it says 4 and 6 cylinder. I've never seen that before. There's a little bit of corrosion on the rotor. You know, this fella gets power in here from the coil and spins around and picks which cylinder fires next for you youngins. Yeah, put it on the #1 spark plug, because that's the #1 cylinder. That's number 3. So this thing fires 1, 3, 4, 2, which I can't think of a 4-cylinder I've worked on before that didn't fire in that order. I don't know if that's standard. I'm sure there's probably something out there that doesn't fire that way. Push on it hard till it clicks. You'll feel it kind of click on there. Wawa. Okay, Wawa got all those on there. And it's hard to tell with plug wires. Sometimes they don't look bad, and you put new plug wires on to fix it. So that's what I'm hoping for. We're just, you know, rolling the dice here on that. But you can ohm them out. I didn't do that. I'm taking this fitting off because, as you can see, it looks all rusted up. I want to make sure I can get air through it, because I don't want it to not get a signal, because that could be a big deal with where this is at. Yeah, we're good. We got all those hoses replaced. I used some 1/4-inch fuel hose for like a lawnmower or whatever. I like to use something like that that's like whatever you call it, stranded or whatever. I've been stranded. But I went ahead and replaced this guy too, because it was so thin you could almost see through it. But we're gonna throw the intercooler back on there. Come on, this time. This time. Now these had a little bit bigger intercooler than the SVO Mustangs had, because I think guys used to upgrade the SVO by putting this intercooler on them and the computer out of these cars. I really don't know the specifics of what was better about them, but supposedly it's a little bit better. I had to end up using a reducer here to go from 3/8 down to 1/4 inch, because I didn't realize that hose steps up in size as it goes in the intercooler. Well, we got all the air box back in there. I'm throwing this nasty rough air filter back. We're going to change the oil in it now. Put a good Wix filter and some diesel oil in this thing. Let's see what this oil looks like. Seems awful thin and black. We'll get it out in the sun and see if it's got any glitter in it. I don't really see any glitter in that. It just looks really dark. One good sign is this has a magnetic drain plug and it's not all fuzzy, so I think this motor's in pretty good health. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Well, as usual, whoever put it on here must have put it on here with a 3/4 inch drive impact. You always want to put them on so tight that the next guy can't get them off. That's the goal. I had to end up getting it off here with my big oil filter pliers. It's been on there quite a while. Like I said, I think this car has been parked about 15 years. But it says Napa Silver. Maybe somebody knows when they sold these, but it's pretty old. It kind of worries me that it doesn't seem to have any oil in it. That freaks me out. We got our Rule King 5W40 synthetic diesel oil and our Wix oil filter. Switched to them after some viewers told me to. I did a little research. They were right, so we switched. This oil filter sits sideways, so I can't put much oil on it really, but I'm gonna put a little bit. All right, get closer, Wawa. Oh. You got it? You got it?
Sure.
This is your first time putting oil. Watch what you're doing. So we got Wawa here putting the oil in. I told her this is the direction you're supposed to pour it so it doesn't like gurgle. It didn't really turn out good though. You got it. I'm letting go. Go. Pour the whole thing in. While that oil's draining, I'm gonna check this. So I like to rock the wheel this way and this way. This will tell you like if you have a wore out tie rod. This will mainly tell you if you have like a wore out ball joint or a hub bearing, something like that. This thing feels pretty good. If you've been watching the channel long, you'll know that I use Marvel mystery oil on an old motor. I've always had good luck with it, like freeing up the lifters. If I have a really wore slap out motor, like the old tractor we did, something that's really old and really loose bearing clearances, I'll put a quart of Lucas in it. We went ahead and tightened the oil drain plug up to 1,000 foot-pounds, and then we got 2 arms on the oil filter, so that way it'll be a nightmare for the next guy. We don't have any jellyfish in this one like the RV did, but I believe we got some calcium deposits, so it looks like they need to take their vitamins. Can I hit it? Can I hit it? Top this off just a little bit. I don't know what somebody did here to the alternator wiring, but we're gonna roll with it for now. We're gonna change the fuel filter now because I just wanna, get rid of any possible problems. We got a Wix one as well for this from O'Reilly's. Hopefully this will pour out and get in my armpit. That'd be the best case scenario. Oh yeah. Right in my mouth. It's a Motorcraft filter. So you can see the color of the fuel. See that? This will show you the difference. See how dark that is? Look from the other end. That's the filtered side. So we had quite a bit of, oh, look at that. Wow. It's a good thing we changed this. This filter even came with the new clips for the fuel lines. Now that's quality right there. Surprising to me that Ford attached this with a hose clamp. That kind of seems like something I would do, but no, I'd probably just use a zip tie, really. Anybody else got a cheap Chinese jack stand like this that the levers broke? Or is that just me? I don't know why people get so many license plates, like you gotta have one for every car. I mean, it's just 2 bolts and swap them out. Like you saw in the last video, we got wires that are chewed up under the seat. Some of them we're gonna have to replace. Some of them I'm just gonna rewrap that, they just ate off a little bit of the rubber but didn't eat the copper. We're gonna get this fixed while the seat's out. Well, Rocky's decided to come hang out. He's very nosy. He was a bottle-fed baby, so he's real friendly. Hey, buddy. You wouldn't believe how little he was when we got him. What you got, Rocky? Over here on the passenger side kick panel, we got even more messed up wires we're taping up. It's called the kick panel because you start kicking over here when Copperhead Road comes on the radio. Well, now that it looks like my brother's kid's been wiring on this thing, I think we got everything taped up we found at least. I'm gonna go ahead and put the seat belts back in and the seats so we can try to drive this thing. We got the Big Shot PB Blaster here. I'm gonna go ahead and oil up all this power seat mechanism. Now we just got this thing turned down to a 150 shot right now. I don't want to spray it too much. After I sprayed all this with PB Blaster and oiled it up, I realized how bad the wires were chewed up here too. So I cleaned this off with a little bit of brake cleaner and I'm gonna wrap this up. These rats, man, they just went to town on this thing. It was like, half price buffet at the Golden Corral. We got one wire that's cut too close to fix, so we slid this block out of the middle and pried up that little pin, which allows us to take this out. Now we're gonna fix this wire because they cut it all the way through. All right, we got that fixed like a kindergartner. We got the pin slid back in place and we just put this like lock plate deal back in and it's locked in there. Okay. Then we got a seatbelt plug and some bolts, and we'll have the driver's seat in. I just hooked the battery up. Hopefully our power seat switch won't catch on fire for the third time. Let's see here. Look at that. It works, finally. Now that we got the seat in and it's working, you may ask yourself, why aren't you putting the carpet back in? Well, the carpet's still sitting out by the driveway getting rained on right now. Trying to get all that rat mess out of it. I'm trying to decide if I'm even going to put it back in. I want to make sure I don't have any more wiring issues before I, put it back in too. So I'm probably going to drive it just like this for a while. Here's what we're dealing with the ignition switch. Something in there is busted now. I don't know what's up. So we're going to probably take this steering column apart and see what's broken in our ignition switch. Because the battery's hooked up right now. It should be doing stuff. I got the screws out of the steering column. I found 3 there, and now I'm taking this lower cover off. Okay. To get access to this. Maybe we'll find some more rat issues. That would be nice. Alright. That may be a hint right there. We got pieces falling out already. Oh, the whole thing's busted apart, huh? So it's just got these 2 tamper-proof Torx bit things that hold this ignition switch on here. That's all that holds it on. Here's all the pieces to it off. So this guy slides up and down on these contacts to make everything connect. And at first it wouldn't crank, and then later on it wouldn't even turn the gauges on. So I guess this thing was just not traveling as far as it's supposed to, and this was breaking off here. Luckily, I'd already ordered one from Wrong Auto, so I'm going to put it on here, and maybe this will fix it. Here's how it works. See that? Ignition switch, which doesn't need a key to turn apparently, slides that pin, and that pin slides that and moves on those contacts. Contact! I'm going to remove this lock cylinder. So you just put it in the run position, and there's a pin right here you can push in. And you can pull the lock cylinder out. It's that easy. I was trying to reattach this. It looks like a little ground strap, but man, this guy is broke already. And I don't think it's going to stay there. Well, I'm going to go ahead and zip tie this little guy in place. I actually, just being honest, have no idea what this little wire does, but I mean, they put it there for a reason, right? Don't worry, I'm going to do it right. See? I hooked the battery up. Let's see if our repair. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Still don't have a working oil pressure gauge. That freaks me out. Rooster man, you decide to come visit me? Huh? Is that what you're doing? I went ahead and unplugged the oil sending unit and plugged it back in. It's just a 1-wire connection right there at the back. So I'm gonna start it now and see if that, maybe it just had a bad connection. Come on. Why are you doing that now? Okay. Finally got it to start. Oh yeah, we're starting to get oil pressure. That's good news. This thing shows 147,000 miles. Shows we're charging. Yeah, we barely got any gas, but I think should have more gas than that. But at least we got oil pressure now. It makes me feel a lot better. Hey, we actually got some boost on the gauge. It actually seems like it's running quite a bit better now. It's burning off a PB blaster we had sprayed on it. These are just the best little engines. I love them. I love the cars. Love the engines. It's puffing a little bit. Hopefully that don't mean a blown head gasket. We'll let it get up to temperature and see. I don't know if our temperature gauge works or not. This thing's been running for like 15 minutes now. We still have good oil pressure and amps. come up. I think we have a temperature gauge. Yeah, it's coming up. We're completely up to temperature. This thing's just been too good to me, you know? I feel like it should have more fuel than that. I don't know. All right, let's let it sit here and see if anything's leaking. Look at that, don't you love it? Now it's time for everybody's favorite part. Me driving out over these broken 2x4s to get out of my shop. Well, we got our going to town shorts on. If you watch the other videos, you'll know how bad shape this car was in. It's been 15 years since it's been drove, and we haven't even left the driveway in it yet. So I've decided we're going to go take it and get some tires put on it, but you know, you can't just take it and put tires on it without using up the old ones first. I'm actually going to put my N95 on because everybody's been commenting I need to be more careful, so I'm trying to take precautions because there's going to be stuff blowing around in here. They say it's really bad to inhale this stuff, so at first at least I'm going to wear this. Here we're off. Hey, hope for the best. This is the fastest I've moved in this thing so far. How much brakes we got? Hey, actually, we got pretty good brakes. That's good. All right. I feel a little bit of a shake. We're already, I think, in third gear. Not bad though, not bad. We're pulling a hill here. Let's see if we can build any boost. Oh yeah. I feel it, I feel it. That definitely took the miss away. So I guess one of those plug wires or plugs was just in not good shape. Man, driving this thing just takes me right back to having one of these when I was 18 years old. I feel like it was such a great car for, you know, a kid wanting to be into turbo cars. I wish this was a 5-speed car because that's what mine was, but you know, it's all right. It's okay to be an automatic. Got a couple good curves right here. I've heard a couple bolts fall out. We didn't need them. This thing just hugs the road. Corvette ain't got nothing on this. Here's an S-curve, man. Don't want to blow a casing. I better not take it too fast, huh? This speedometer is a little more accurate than the Falcon's is. This ain't no auctioneer speedometer. And took the mask off now. It's not really blowing around in here, and I thought it might be blowing around more, but the windows aren't really down much. They won't go up or down, so if it rains, we're just gonna be stuck in here with it. Wearing my driving shoes today. Man, look how pretty it is out here. Got hay. Looks like we got some tobacco, maybe. Pretty Tennessee road. I have to put a timing belt on this thing before we get too crazy with it, because I'm sure this one's probably getting pretty crusty. Backcountry road, you know what time it is. We're going to switch it over to premium fuel setting, see if that makes any difference.
Well, that was a little disappointing. I was really wanting to give you guys a killer burnout, but I guess it just don't have it in it yet. I still need to do some work to it. It's running on regular gas right now too, so that's not gonna help anything. It got a little warmer in the burnout there. That's not good. I don't know if the fans are not coming on or what. It's like we made it despite my best efforts to kill this thing. We're at the Walmart, $1 for every donut I've done behind the Walmart. The only leak I see is this. I don't know if that's a heater core leak. Looks like it's a heater core leak. Wonderful news. I don't see anything aside from that heater core leak. It really worries me. No smoke. Belts are still on it. Yeah, we got a heater core leak that's getting worse. Oh shoot, that's no good. No good at all. All right, we got it all sorted out with the Fine Sales Associates here at Walmart. We got a pretty big puddle now. Good thing I didn't put the carpet back in, huh, Ralphie? Yeah. It's leaking pretty good, huh? The heater core's busted up in the dash and it's leaking. Antifreeze out. When you done that, you're just going right straight to your battery. Right, yeah. Starter, so bypass the You're going to be so proud of us. We're actually buying a bigger board to drive in and out of the shop with. So the wife come picked us up. We got us a haircut. We got us a treat at 2 for 10. And now we're going to go pick the Thunderbird up if it's still alive, not burned down. Lord, that thing cleaned out my envelope, $26. Got it up in the air working on it. I wasn't kidding about envelope. Lord, this thing's empty. Now what are we gonna do? We got some Douglas off seasons on here. It ought to ride a lot better. The guys here were actually really helpful. They went ahead and charged up my battery for me, so maybe this thing will make it home. Man, this thing's like a brand new car now. Don't you love the feeling of new tires? Gotta get that seatbelt fixed though, huh? That ain't gonna save me in a wreck. Who am I joking? Hey, we're off. Here we go. Drives a lot better. Didn't have that shake it had before. I'm not gonna lie, it's still got a little bit of a rat smell to it. It's not nearly as bad as it used to be. We're gonna have to spray some bleach in here or something eventually to kill that smell. I've been wanting cheese lately. It's weird. We're gonna go ahead and put some 93 octane in, see if that fuel gauge works. Just put 5 gallons in it. Maybe it works. It's coming up. Okay. I'm a little worried about our temperature gauge. It seems to run a little hotter than I would like. There's our reason right there. Probably a little low. We got some speed up now. We're going over 60 in this thing. It's really smooth now with the new casings on it. We're getting a little hot. Probably need to put some water in it. So how cool is this? On our way back from getting tires, I stopped by where I bought it from. And this is a spot it sat for 15 years, back from the dead. Man, it's driving so nice now. We just got to get that heater core fixed, and this thing will be probably a daily driver for a little bit, honestly. Once we get some interior back in it and everything. All right, Ralphie decided he's gonna ride back with me. Mama had to go on, so just me and him. We're gonna try to get this thing back home on our first long trip. It's awesome. Out from the grave. Here I am in yet another video covered in sweat. We're gonna try to make it back home. What do you think, Ralphie?
Doesn't smell
It don't smell as bad? Well, good. It's driving really nice. Quality vehicle right here. Quality. We're spitting out fluid over here. Surprisingly, the brakes on this thing are actually really nice, considering all those wires are cut. Doesn't seem to affect it much. Ralphie wants to see how fast it is. Let's give it a hit. It's only doing 8 pounds of boost. I'm staying in it. Yeah, it's down on power a little bit. Only 8 pounds of boost. We have made it home. It didn't even overheat on the way back. We put a little bit of water in it there at where it came from. So this is exciting. This thing is a jewel. Do you approve of it, Ralphie?
It's approved.
Ralphie approved. Put the stamp on it. I sure am glad they covered up my floors. They didn't get my carpet dirty. Well, another one has impressed me. You know, just a heater core issue, no big deal. Nobody was in the passenger seat. Nobody's feet got burnt. There's no one to blame here. Just 15 years of rats, that's all. But I love this thing. The next video you'll see of this one, we will be doing performance upgrades to it. Like turn the boost up, change out for a cone air filter, free flowing exhaust, taking the AC belt off, and we're gonna see how much each one of those is worth and get it on the draggy so we know exactly what times it's worth to do those upgrades. So stay tuned, guys. I appreciate all the views. Check out all my playlists and other videos and builds I've done. There'll be more to come with this car. Thanks. Perfect.